Okay, so the first part of the process, and let's just refer to my list on it, we'll find one. You've got a spare actually there, Rich, you've got two there. So the very first thing on the list, which we're going to do first, is to soak the rabbit skin glue crystals. So, Percy's question, what's in the mug? I've already soaked from some for you, because you need to leave them ideally overnight, but certainly for a couple of hours you need to leave them to soak up all the water. So you'll see that's what's in there, and we're going to come to that in a minute. But we're going to start the process by doing your own mix. So if you grab one of your soup mugs like that, grab the spare one. So I think I did everyone's blue one. So if you get the grey one, and get your measuring spoon, and the mix that I use is 8-to-1, and you know, other mixes are available, and I went for some gilding training on sort of compo work and stuff recently, and the instructor there uses a 10-to-1 mix, and in fact I've done, which I'll warm up later, I've got one of each here which we can look at later, because we'll probably look at tomorrow morning, because there's a way of telling what strength your glue is. But 8-to-1 will give you quite a hard glue, and therefore quite a hard gesso. But we've used it for years, and it works well, and certainly you've worked with our gesso, Tom, and you have, and it's okay, but you wouldn't want it much stronger. The 10-to-1 will give you a softer gesso, and it'll sand more easily, and so forth. So, as I say, what you'll need to do is to learn to assess the strength of your glue, which will later affect the strength of your gesso, and then you can find your own mix. So it could be, you could go to 10-to-1 or 9-to-1 or whatever. And the other thing is, of course, that the rabbit skin glue, I believe there are very few sources of nowadays, because it all has to adhere to food safety standards, but even so it varies from batch to batch and brand to brand and so forth. So you can't just assume that one recipe is going to do you forever. You need to be able to look at your recipe and, you know, see what strength it's producing and react accordingly. We will, as time goes by, I mean, we're talking to Minetti in Italy, and probably we'll use their thing, simply not because necessarily it's any better than anyone else's, but simply so that we can absolutely be selling the same thing day in, day out, all the time. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to do 8-to-1, and the mix that obviously, if, like you were saying, Eliza, you're going to do 6 frames at once, you'd want to scale this up. I mean, I work with a jam pan load at a time, so I'm making 2 litres at a time, generally in the workshop. But for this, we're just using these small soup mugs, and we're going to put 30ml of rabbit skin glue crystals into 240ml of water. And down by the side of your bench there, you've each got a bucket of water. So what I tend to do is use the 15ml, which is your largest measuring. So everyone's got a 15ml. All got a 15ml? Right, so 2 of those. I'll just tell you something else. These things, especially yours, Anne, which came from Bargains, okay, probably not reliable. So, you know, you could probably, I don't know what the answer is, but I did buy these also from Bargains, and I found this thing, which is measured, which has got 250ml written on it. I found it's 150ml when I measured it in one of these reliable Morel's measuring cups. So you know, I'm sure you can't go too far wrong on your little 15ml spoon, but you know, don't trust stuff that much. So here's your rabbit skin glue. Everyone, looks like Demerara sugar, and these are the crystals. So 2 of those, 15ml, so 2 of those makes 30ml. Okay, and then we're going to want using your measuring cup, you're going to want 240 ml of water. So you just get that, sit it flat on the bench and let it settle for a minute, and you've got a scale on the side, and my God, that was a good guess. Trying to home in on the 240 ml, first go. But what you will probably need to do is overfill it a little bit and keep pouring away until you get the right amount, and then simply put that in there. And then, as I said, we need to soak that for at least 2 hours. So we're going to come back to that later, and I suggest that you use one of your little mini golden wild panels and just put that at the back of your bench somewhere with that as a cover. Now, you can use a cloth as a cover,